In this lesson, we're going to be looking at essential pieces of what actually makes the internet, and what is used in order to connect all of these pages together. So any web page you go to, you see that you've got clickable links. And links are essentially how web browsers and how web users can navigate from one page to the other. So if you go to this page, it doesn't have what you're looking for. You look for links to click on and move to the next page. So even search engines, just a collection of links, and this is how we actually crawl through and we navigate through the web. So links are super important when it comes to web pages. So let's open up our browser here. We've got that index file that we were working on, and I'm going to show you how to do essentially different types of links. So you can actually link within a page. So if I've got like a ton of content, and I'm actually going to copy out some even more content here, I'm going to add some paragraphs here, and I've got a whole bunch of content here now that I can add into my web page. Going into my web page, I'm going to add that in. I'm going to make it look nice, beautify, and I know I've just got a bunch of content in here. So what I want to do within this page now is I want to add in some links. So I'm going to close this one off for now, and let's look at our web page. So we've got a ton of words here, and we need to scroll down to find additional information and so on. So I'm actually making it bigger, so it's zooming in. So we see that we do need to do quite a bit of scrolling to get down to the bottom. So maybe at the bottom we might have something within this web page, and we might have an area on birds. And what we want is we want the user to be able to come in and actually navigate to the part of the web page that they're looking for. And we can accomplish this via links. And let's set those links up. So let's go back into our web page, and ideally we want the links at the top. So links are just a, opening, closing a, and let's just do this, cats, and we'll do another one, dogs. Or that shouldn't be dogs, but that should be a link to dogs. So not the dog tag, but a link to dogs. And lastly, let's do one for birds. And also, maybe what we want to do is incorporate what we learned in the last lesson where we've got an unordered list. And I'm going to change all of these to list items so that they nice and neatly get represented out into my web page. And so I'm just doing some quick copying and pasting there, wrapping the list items around those, and I'm just going to beautify that, save that, and now let's go to our web page and see what we've got. So we've got cats, dogs, birds, and nicely listed out there, so it's in line with what's within our web page. And notice that I can click these and actually nothing's happening. Because going back again to the last lesson, what do we need within this anchor text? We need additional information. So that means we need to add in attributes. So in these attributes within hyperlinks, that's what actually makes a hyperlink a hyperlink. So make sure that you're setting up your hyperlink, and the attribute that we're using is href. And this is going to allow us to specify what web page we want to go to. So if I wanted to link to a page, or if I had a page called cats and I want to link out to it, let's go back and refresh it. We see right away we get that underline, and this is the default in HTML for hyperlinks, that we've got an underlined content, and now when I click it, we go to that web page cats, and of course we don't have that web page yet, so that's why it's going to nowhere, but essentially we've created that hyperlink there. So another type of hyperlink potentially would be a link within the page, or we could link out to an external source. So we had something like HTTP, and we had something like, so we'll link out to google.com, and maybe we had a link to a dog website or something. So this is going to link out to this page. This one linked out to cats.html. This is going to link out to an external web page. And again, remember that we're connecting a bunch of websites together by these external links. And another thing to keep in mind with external links, and always a good practice because the idea of a website is to try to keep people on your website as much as possible. So if I add in google.com, someone comes to my website, clicks dogs, goes to google.com, well, I've just lost my web visitor. And that's where we add in another attribute to accommodate that, and we use the target. And this is what the target browser window is going to be when the user clicks this hyperlink. So let's check this out now. I go to my page, I've got my cats page there, and I've got my dogs. So I click dogs, we open up into Google. So it's opening up a brand new tab in my browser, and I see that I can really easily go back to where I started from. And also with cats, you can always go back as well, so you get the back button there in your browser. So lastly, there's actually another way to use hyperlinks within your web content. And I promise you, I didn't add in all this dummy text just to confuse what we're talking about. So the purpose of it was that if you're coming into a website, maybe I want to go down to the birds section of my page. So maybe I'm not interested in cats, maybe I'm not interested in dogs, and I want to go right down to birds. And I want something up here at the top of my website so the user can really easily go down to that content. So they don't have to read through everything and they can just click. Because again, remember those web users, they're looking to do something, they're looking to fulfill their need on your website as quickly as possible. So the best idea when you're designing websites is to represent something and help that user find what they're looking for. And this is a great way to do that as well. So let's open up our editor and add birds. So the way that we want to do it, we actually want to link to this particular piece of content within our website. And how do we do that? So we know that we need to add in an href. So we need to add in where we want the user to end up, and that's what we use hrefs for. But what information do we place in here in order to indicate that we want to send them over to this particular section? And this is where we have to add another attribute. So attributes can be added to any one of these elements, any one of these tags. We've got ability to add in attributes to any one of them. And one of the attributes that we can use, and you're going to see it used quite often, is the ID. So this allows us to actually identify this particular element on our page. So we're going to give it an ID of birds, something that makes sense. Going up here, now we're going to href and we're going to link out to birds. So using the hash to indicate that this is an ID'd, identified element within our web page, and we've got birds there. Now let's go back out to our web page, see what happens. So it looks like all the other two hyperlinks, and when I click it, look what happens. We get brought down to birds, and this is great for the user coming in. They can click it and they can see, well, now I'm in the birds section of my web page. And this is a great tool if you've got a lot of content within your website and you want users to be able to quickly navigate through that content. So the next lesson, as I mentioned, use of images is all over the place, and it's a really great way to engage and satisfy your users as they come into your web page and they don't just get represented with a bunch of text. Nobody likes that. Add those images in, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the upcoming lesson.